Good morning, YouTube. It's Beck here from So Be Curated. You're finding me in my laundry for some really exciting kind of YouTube videoing. I am actually going to take you through a couple of fun things today, but I just thought I'd start with how I soak things. People seem to be very interested. I have got some videos on what I do. There's two things I do. I use this Nappy Sand Oxy Action. It's what we use on our washing as well. I soak for quite some time, like 24, sometimes 48 hours. And I like the power of sunlight, as in UV rays. I know my kids they threw up a lot and like as babies, and they were also very messy eaters. And you needed the sunlight to get things like tomato and watermelon and baby sick out of clothes. So I know about the power of sunlight, but I find for vintage textiles, it's really useful. So I tend to soak everything I get. Like from this, which looks kind of clean. Let's find something that doesn't look clean. We might do a comparison of how this comes up. So see how this is, it's not great light in here. I've only got a European laundry, so I'm basically in a cupboard. And we do 6 people with that, like with a soaking sink and a washing machine, which you can probably hear, because also with 6 people, we're always doing washing. Anyway, this is a little napkin. It has sat in a vintage shop for a long time. It is marked up. It had been, it feels like kind of crisp linen, except it's dirty. So it's a fine linen. Let's see how it comes up. You can see all those stains on it there. It's got a little cross stitch of a house, which I think is very sweet. And I'm just going to soak all of this stuff. So I'll show you when it's soaking in 2 secs. I just remembered something. Make sure you cut all your labels off things without your fabric snips, because it'll blunt, like those little things will blunt your fabric snips. So I tend to wash everything that I get. I think it's nicer for me. The only things, and it's nicer if I'm selling it, the only things I don't soak are, so I'm going to soak this, but like say I had a piece of linen that was very fragile but marked up very beautifully with age marks and rust marks, I might not soak that so long as it smells clean. So, you know, just take all the labels off things. Now this smells quite nice and looks kind of clean, but there are a couple of little marks on this. Now I'm going to cut this up for the good night and also for that cup. Also really like the edging on it, which might show up in something, but let's see if it goes cleaner. I put the embroidered stuff in together with white. I do soak coloured or heavily embroidered items with lots of dark colours. Oh, Heather, if you're watching this from Tuesday Stitches, you might need this. Look at that. It's got a little H on it. It's a little pocket. Wouldn't that be cute and Swift? Yeah, some beautiful things. But I tend to put the heavily embroidered items in separately. So this has got tag. Make sure you take tags off. Partly because if you put a Vinnie's tag like sew in, it's going to get cardboard, like paper all over everything, but that red might run. And you do not want that. All the things running. Some of your marks you're not going to get off. So that looks like a rust stain to me. That looks like it's staying, but that also looks very pretty. So let's see what happens. So as you can see, I've got a lot. I showed in my last video how much stuff I've got that's ready to soak. I'm not going to put that in at the sec. See how those are dark colours in there? They might run. Okay, I'm sure this is really interesting for you all, but look at all the pretty linens. And I'll turn around and show you what's happening in my laundry in 2 secs. So this is my laundry space. Very little, you know, I have just put some washing on, like the soaking on here. And you will notice, see that water was clear just with some oxy action, just from putting it in. And I literally did that like 60 seconds ago. Already some dirt is coming out of that. So I will soak that for probably until tomorrow, for 24 hours. And then I might soak it again just with clear water, like see if any more comes out. And then I will do a gentle wash and then I will put it into the sunlight. So that's my process. It's not that exciting or revolutionary, but quite satisfying. And I'll show you how that little napkin comes up and see if it looks any better for us. So on to more exciting things. So I've just popped into the shop to pick up a couple of things that I'd left there, which I'm going to show you in more detail. But I thought like I might just kind of do a little bit of an update. I want to show you what I purchased on the way to and at Green Door. We did a little tour of the cheese factory. Now, a little disclosure, I hadn't read my emails and didn't know we were going there. So I'd already popped in on the way down and picked up some stuff, but I did find more stuff. So that was kind of exciting. It was lovely to do it with the girls that were attending that course. I want to show you what I have like worked on since the Green Door, what I put together at Green Door and what I've worked on since. And what else did I want to show you? I don't know. But just in full disclosure mode, like I would sit and sew every day, all day, if I could. Maybe swim in the sea, cuddle with my kids, eat some delicious food that I haven't prepared. That's kind of the dream. It's never going to happen, obviously. But today, for my birthday, which was 2 months ago, like almost exactly, and I turned 50, so it was a big one. My husband gave me, he gave me some stuff, but one of the things he gave me, which I've been meaning to do for ages and I haven't prioritized myself, is assessment for Pilates, for like reformer Pilates, and like with a physio, and also some like paid for classes going forward. Now we share our money, so like, you know, that like it was more an encouragement of me, not like the, you know, he was gifting me the money gift kind of, if you get what I mean. I hope that makes sense to somebody. But I've booked in for my assessment today. Now I got held up because I've been away so much, and also I fell over when I was in Sydney. I slipped after having a couple of margaritas and really hurt my shin, and that's now better. So I'll be able to like kind of do that assessment, and I haven't done any kind of exercise, formal exercise for 10 years since we moved here. I used to do reformer Pilates in Melbourne after I broke my leg with Otto. I loved it. And then when we moved here, I didn't have a babysitter, and, you know, there was a lot on my plate, and that was 10 years ago. And I just haven't done anything except swimming laps, and that's in the sea bars, which kind of, you know, the sea bars is like a happy place for me. So I haven't done anything. I am overweight. I am 50. I would prefer to sit and stitch all day. So in an effort to hold me accountable, I'm just letting you know that that's why I have an exercise top on, I guess. Like, it's probably 10 years old. It's not. But then I am going to do that today, and I'm going to show you my stitching, and I'm hopefully going to get our house a bit organised. And then this after, like, you know, the kids get home at 3 or just after, and we've got all the activities as per usual. Wednesdays are always a busy day for us. Got violin lessons, Otto's got makeup soccer games. It's, you know, it's all the things. I'm going to take you down to the study and show you what I'm working on. Hold me accountable for the Pilates or the exercise, or kind of prioritising my own fitness. And I, like, whilst I am overweight, it'd be nice to lose some weight, but that's not the goal here, it's fitness. So I wanted to start with the needle book that I started at Green Door Studios. The most beautiful space. If you get a chance to go and do a course there, do it. It was beautiful in location, in how it was inside, but also the women that gathered there and the host. Zoe is amazing. Her food is amazing. I'd heard the food was good. The food was better than I expected. And it was just a lovely group of women that she had, like lots of them were from her kind of group of women that come to lots of things or do stitching there in her open studios. Some people, you know, it was a combination of people that had come expressly for me, and it was so lovely to have some of those people there. And I'm going to share some little gifts that people gave me. It was so lovely. So I started this needlebook there. One of my favorite bits of this is look at those. The little ends of it's an old French ribbon that tied up. That's a little piece of fabric I'd reclaimed from a quilt block that was all ripped up. And this, I just don't know what that is. I got it from a vintage shop close to home, and it just was so sweet. So I just sewed that on to that ribbon. Now, this is a French fabric that was there. You might see that pop up in some other people's work. I loved it. I have since spilt red wine on mine and tried to sponge it out, not very successfully, so it's got some red wine stains. That's why I said to my husband, this is why I drink white wine. And the back of it, so the front is just kind of quite plain, except with some little French laundry tags, and the back I've actually put a couple more things on and done a bit more stitching on, because it didn't have just that beautiful like flower kind of, like that wasn't centered on the back of it. So I've added some embroidery. This is actually a little piece from a hat, a little bit of French torchon, which is a tea towel stitching. And then I've actually extended it out, just decided to make it a little bit different with a little leftover snippet of a vintage quilt. So it's got beautiful hand stitches in there and then my blanket stitching on. Now, I will put that down and show you the inside of it, like when we're looking at it downwards, because that makes it easier. The other thing I started at Green Door, so 2 days, one day was needle books and one day was like a textile collage. So the needlebook, I hardly got any of that. I got it seamed down the middle. I've worked on that since being home and really enjoyed doing so. It's got lovely memories in there, which I'll show you. And then I also started a textile collage. So I will probably I'm thinking of making a really big zipper pouch out of these. So this might be part of it. I might add onto it, kind of like patchwork and textile collage. So I hardly got any of this done here. I attached the yo-yo and I did a bit of weave stitch to just show people. Now, the girls at the workshop were really intrigued by the mendits that I have kind of in the shop. And that's how that weave looks with the mendit threads. I really like that. I was influenced by the girls at the course and cut some embroideries down really close and stitched those on. And I was working on that last night and I really wanted to show this one because I'm stuck. I'm quite liking how this comes together. I need to do some more onto the orange. I think that's a bit plain, but I don't like to just layer upon layer upon layer. That's not kind of the style I like. So thinking about what to do. And then over here, I love that doily. Part of it's over here. But I don't know what to do. And so I'm going to sit with it for a while. And I just wanted to say, I do that all the time in case you feel like I just kind of whip stuff out and it always works out perfectly. It doesn't. I have gathered some bits and pieces that might, so there, I just wanted to show you this. That's why that's here. Like this is a little thread holder, like a vintage one on pink plastic. It doesn't really work very well, but is it not the cutest thing ever? So that lives in my hoosewif, got some threads. Debbie from Tuesday gave me that little piece of embroidery. I'm not sure that it's going to fit on unless I expand it out, just because I don't want to, like I want to use the whole of it. This one I think I will definitely add. So I keep little bits like this. I love the little stitching. Yellows, blues, greens, browns are the colors that are kind of in this. A little bit of trim that I had. This beautiful lace might be lovely in it somewhere. And then bits of, I've cut these off a Tea Cozy, little woolen flowers, and they make me really happy. And then also last piece of this lovely daisy that was, I think, a Tea Cozy or a toaster cover. So they will go into my textile collage. And sorry, while I'm here, I might just show. See this beautiful little completely worn yo-yo? Like, it's like, I couldn't have, say, done a blanket stitch onto that because the edge of that is just coming away. So I've attached it with a couple of secret stitches and also some French knots and stuff. And that was gifted to me by Juju, who's Rachel and Sarah from the Roxy Sisters mum. So really special to have that in there. I just wanted to share that it is okay to get stuck and to give yourself space to think about it, because all your ideas don't come immediately. Or mine don't. Maybe yours do. So, firstly, I was gifted and by Di, who I've met in the shop, and she's just she was a wonderful woman. She bought me, sorry, I've just put something in something else over there. She brought me a giant like freckle heart, which is like one of my favorite things. And she also brought Otto a gift, and he was just super stoked. He was having a really bad week last week, so that was super lovely. I was gifted some little bits by Inga, who just walked around the table and gave everybody some little bits, but then also gave me this strawberry piece because I think, like, I feel incredibly lucky. But because I'm doing my strawberry quilt. So that will be just beautiful in there. Helen, who came from Queensland. I met Helen in Queensland. She's lovely. She's been to the shop a couple of times in Newcastle. She gave me some little things that will be very special to include. This is a really firm felt, different to the felted wool I like to use generally. So it's interesting to see how that will come together. And I love the coloured doilies. Juju also gifted me this beautiful piece that was from Italy. So that's just lovely and will go into something. The most impressive part of Juju's gift, and she, like, none of these people needed to gift me anything, was her little card. How cute is that? That's going to go on my inspiration wall. And then last but not least, look at this beautiful button that was made and gifted to me by one of the participants at the course, and it's just stunning. I'm going to have to, I think I might have to include it. I might have to make another horsewhip just to include this, because look how beautiful that is. The colours are just divine. It's gum leaves, which, you know, speaks to my Australian soul. I'm just the luckiest ever. And then while we were there at Zoe's space, she was also had some, what did she have? Vintage textiles that she was selling. So I picked up some because you can't not. This one I really like. Like, that is hand done applique. But look at that edging. How cool would that be on something? I don't know what. Couldn't leave that behind. Lovely little bits. Really like this. Like, I'm a sucker for this pink flower with that kind of blanket. It's kind of like a blanket stitch. And look on the other side. That would be just so beautiful in a gosling quilt. This one I like just because it was really different. Like, very odd. Always pick up some birds if I can. I think this one was from Zoe. It doesn't have a tag on it, so I'm not sure. But also thought these would be lovely. This is the most beautiful linen. And then a beautiful tablecloth as well. Now, some of those will be sold in the shop, some of those like into kits. Some of them will be in my own work. I'm always looking for things to inspire myself and also to include in kits, so that if you're having trouble finding things yourself, or you just want, sometimes people find it hard to put the things together or what might work together. I really enjoy doing that kind of composition, but I work really hard to put kits together that I would like to stitch with. So I hope that they inspire you. I'm going to turn you around and show you the inside of my needle book. Sorry, I've just made my camera wobble. Okay, so this is the front of my needle book that I started putting together at Green Door. So I always like it when I can bring the bits to tie it together to the opposite side rather than like tying a bow over here. I'm not sure why, it just really speaks to me. As I said, I've put some lovely bits and pieces that I had in my own collection onto this Grosgain ribbon and used this beautiful French fabric. And you can see here some staining from my red wine that I spilt on that one night when I had actually made dinner and I opened red wine to put into the pasta sauce and then spilt it. Anyway, fun times. So when it opens up, I folded that fabric over there, and that was to center this, to make a feature of that. And as I said, only just some laundry tags, a little bit of torchon, a little scrap of fabric that I had. It might be one of my favorite vintage fabrics ever. It's got little pops of neon, a little yellow rose. What's not to love? Now, this piece of linen came out of a tablecloth, and so this stitching here doesn't really float my boat particularly, but the edging of this, so it's like got drawn thread work and it's kind of like a French seam and it's got very beautiful crochet around it. And then the beautiful dye there attended my workshop. She was sitting next to me and she was doing very beautiful embroidery work. Now that is not my skill. Like, I like to stitch, but I am not the neatest embroiderer. And she did the bee for me. So just really lovely. Then, so the back of that, look how neat her work is. I've got this doily coming through like a sandwich one, and I've backed that with another piece of little French fabric, which is lovely. I've used a whole hanky in here to have pockets. So I could put like quite a big project in there, or paper pieces, etc. Then I've got a piece of wool felt in the center, and I've also got some wool felt here. And a yo-yo, just because, why not? It came out of that beautiful quilt that I've been including bits of. It's nearly all gone and I'm quite devastated about it. But anyway, the rest of that pocket that is, like a hanky, sorry, that forms a pocket on the other side. There is the back of this piece of fabric that I used to do on that sandwich doily. And it came, like, it just is here. And then I didn't want just the back of that fabric. So I had this little piece of green fabric that was from a kit that actually Zoe was selling at Green Door and I purchased. And I've just stitched that down as a little pocket with some some embellishment stitching. Now this might be one of my favorite bits of the whole thing. This, and I'll show you in a sec where from, I purchased a hat just so I could harvest the flowers, in the words of Kate at the Journal Nest, and attach them. So I gifted it like flowers around the table to anybody that wanted one. Some people thought I was crazy. So you might see them coming up in some work. Another yo-yo. And then actually I'm not very happy with that. That's a really messy kind of, I don't mind this. So just for people that are like, oh, why does yours always work out? It doesn't always work out. I'm going to think about something to do there, like maybe just attach a little bit of fabric. I'm not sure. Again, that lovely piece of linen. This time I've used just some pink edge stitching. I really like this when you do a kind of an uneven kind of stitch in a horizontal line, and on the back it forms a double line. I just think that's a quite nice feature. The torchon again, and this is quite a sturdy pocket in here, which is great for throwing things, and then another pocket. So I've got all the pockets, all the places to put the needles, another needle book, and then the back of mine has this piece of hand quilted quilt that was just like a little leftover piece that somebody had cut off theirs at the course, and I just thought that would be sweet. A little bit of embroidery, another flower, and some stitches. So that's my needle book in total, I guess. In like, it's almost finished. I might add something to cover that little bit of stitching that I don't like. And then here, just in the flat, and that is up the right way, yes, is the textile collage I started. Now, I've added a lot to that. I really didn't get very much done. I was more helping other people. I've got some like French knots in wool in here. When you do a French knot with wool compared to a French knot over here, I've got some with pearl cotton. It's a really different texture and kind of result. So have a look at or like play around with the materials you're stitching with, because it can really change things. And then, as I said, I've got lots of little extra bits that I might add into this. But at the moment I'm stuck. So it gets folded up and it's going to go into my housewife. Although I have been admiring, I have been admiring all the nests and kind of vessels that were that have been popping up as part of the Roxy Sisters Journal of Stitchery. Now, on top of that, there were so many beautiful stitches that attended the courses that I taught at Green Door. There was just some exquisite work that came out. And there were also people that were trying things for the first time and they made exquisite work. It was such a caring, lovely space, beautiful women. You know, you just feel so good after an experience like that. I think like everybody seemed to express that they had an amazing time, which was great. I met some beautiful women that I would love to just stitch with all the time. So on top of that experience, we also went to the cheese factory, which is in Robertson, but not to get cheese. I would have loved the cheese, to get vintage things. Now, Zoe, when we were there, found some chair kind of things, which I've purchased one of those. I'm going to wash that. That is filthy. I've pulled the nails. It like still had the nails from where it was joined. It's dirty. It's a bit stinky. I'm going to wash it in a warm wash and see how that shows up. But it'll be lovely as a housewife. Maybe I'll have another brown housewife. Also, we found this tub of fabrics that, and this was a lovely piece of linen. Look at the selvage on that. It's very white, which isn't always my favorite. I prefer a kind of mellowed out color. But this was, I think, $10, and I think it's about 3 meters of linen. So that's just a complete bargain. And I got that. Now, when I was there without the girls, when I went naughtily by myself first, I promise I didn't know that we were going to do that. Zoe and I had been communicating by both my email address, personal and work one. And then I'd sent her some stuff through my personal one because it can attach photos better. And she replied to that one. And because I was so busy just when I was heading down to Robertson, I was only checking my work email, so I missed it. So when I got there, I said, I've just been to the cheese factory. And she said, oh, we're going there tomorrow. And I was like, oh, terrible. I got this tablecloth. I love green. This is a jadey green though, not my favorite green, but love. Actually, I do really like this color in a quilt, but like if I'm choosing a green, not so, like it's not my favorite, that kind of more emerald green or Kelly green is my favorite. Now this has got like rickrack and embroidered daisies. And they're hand embroidered. They're just really nicely done. So tablecloth and some napkins. Show what I got when I was with the girls versus what I got by myself. This one, I couldn't. So it's a cross-stitch print. I'm thinking I might try and cross-stitch it. I don't know. It wasn't a bargain. It wasn't good value even. I kept coming back to it, so I grabbed it. I'm not even sure what this is, but I think it looks like a hanky that's been pulled apart, but I just love that edging and think it will be stunning in something. Bought this lovely pink tablecloth. I don't actually love that, but I do love this. And, you know, lots of beautiful pink fabric to be included in things. And I think these would be better if we stitched into them. That's a big tablecloth. I'll be cutting that up. I also got this little bag, which I think is just adorable. And my friend Min told me that it was the ugliest thing she'd ever seen. I don't think she actually used those words, but it was clear from her face that she did not enjoy that. Whereas I think that is just beautiful. What else? Oh. Like a pineapple and fruit embroidered tablecloth. And it's pure linen. I mean, it just was very pretty. Like, I don't know. That'll be in something and it'll be great. So then when I was with the girls, I also found, like, and they got there before me, so I didn't just go in and steal everything. Because I had to ring home and see how everything was going. We were having some home emergencies. I bought quite a lot of things. Another one of these because it's got, so I'm not sure if they're meant to be like teacups. This one looks like a rose to me, especially when it's flattened down. So I'll use that in something. This will go on the wall in my new shop. Like, what's not to love about an embroidered, rick-racked cocktail glass? I think it's a pot holder. I think it's the best thing. I also bought some beautiful old curtains. They've got strawberries in them. They've just, I mean, they're really lovely, and I think they will be nice. I've got some old French doors that I'm planning on putting into the shop, and I'll use those behind the glass of the French doors. And that just reminds me to talk about the shop a little bit, in case this video is not long enough. I feel like we are living the UK grand designs where they make these plans and they say, oh, our budget's £200,000, and then the quotes come back in at £5 million, and, you know, they've borrowed all the money they can borrow, and it's just like disaster after disaster, and you're just like watching it and just thinking, how is this ever going to happen? And then the narrator comes in and says some stuff, and then they go back and see the house, and it's beautiful, and somehow they got the money and it was all okay. So the differences between that and my story is, one, there's no narrator has come in yet. I'm really hoping. We've had some problems with builders, etc., construction certificates, like all the things that, like, so my husband and I are both lawyers. Like, he is a lawyer, like works as a lawyer, but I'm previously a lawyer and I did property construction law. And I am also a town planner. So I studied town planning at university. So theoretically, I should know what some of this stuff is. It's so far over our heads. We are like just kind of going along. I am freaking out that we're not going to be in there for Fleur Woods. I think we're going to be in for Fleur Woods. I just am kind of at panic stations. Our whole family may be living in the shop at the rate we're going. And I joked about that the other day to the kids, and they all thought we were actually going to end up living in the shop. I really hope that's not the case. I don't think it will be the case, but it is like a Grand Designs episode, except that it's not that grand a design. It's a lovely space and it will be wonderful. And teaching it down at Green Door last week really cemented to me how lovely that space is going to be, to have that beautiful big space for people to be creative in, because that was so lovely at Zoe's space. So I'm super glad we've got the space. It's not like Grand Design's gone wrong at the moment. That's what we'd be like, Australian Grand Designs disasters or something. Watch the space. Hopefully it's going to come together. Like, my husband and I, like, we hope it's coming together. Okay. Some other things I got at Green Door. I picked up this hat. Like, is that not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? I'm going to pull it apart. Nobody's going to wear this hat. It's got some beautiful netting. It's got beautiful flowers. One of them fell off and I've used it already. because it was not the only hat that I picked up. This one has already come apart. It's like a wedding hat, and it had all these lovely flowers on. So I gifted those around the table. You've seen me use one. Look at that. How cute is that to include in your work? I thought that was just amazing. So a couple of hats from Green Door when I was with the girls. Little box, which I thought would be sweet for stitching things. Couple of lovely doilies. Some of these were good value, some of them not so much. Just, I pick up ones that I love. Love this teapot, and look at that. Isn't that lovely? And that, oh no, I bought one other thing. I bought a teacup from Zoe, which is somewhere over there for in the shop. So she has some space at the cheese factory as well. And then I bought this tin, which I thought was just beautiful. It's a bit tight, the hinge. A hinged lid tin. This is for me. It was expensive. $30. But I'd never seen this one, and I did just really like it. So that one's for me. And I've said before, I'm happy to spend money on things for myself, like with no, like even if it's expensive, just because not happy to spend money. That sounds like I've just got all this money to spend. As you just heard, it's all going into the shop. No, I'm happy for it not to be a bargain if it's something that just really speaks to my soul. I am happy for that. Sometimes you pick up some amazing things for really good prices, but sometimes not so much. Okay, on the way down to Green Door, of course I stopped at the sewing basket. Now, I picked up this was a bargain, I think, $40. I've never seen a round one like this. It's very cute. It's just got like one kind of cantilever and a little top. I'm going to keep this one. And in fact, one of mine that I previously loved has gone into the shop because I don't have room for more. And it needs a little repair. It just needs a little, I don't even know what that's called, in there. I'm thinking I can do that, but I don't know what it's called, so maybe I can't do that. So that came from the sewing basket, and I went to the Newington one on the way through. Also picked up some other things, some monogrammed initials. So I shared in my Sydney Quilt Show vlog, not the one Was It Worth It, the one before that, about some bargains I picked up from the sewing basket at the Sydney Quilt Craft Show. So their prices at that show were so much better than I could get in store today. Well, not today, last week. I picked this up for $8. It's a lovely piece of linen, unworked embroidery kind of, and I picked that up because I thought it'd be a lovely base for a kind of flurry, kind of, like flurry, I mean Fleur Woods, like painted, stitch painting kind of piece, maybe incorporating some other like textiles as well. Picked up these. So they've got holes in them, but they've got lovely embroidery bits, and they're on a lovely linen, and they were $10 each. So I was getting whole tins of things at the quilt show for like $15, I think. So this is much more expensive. I did get, so I'm a real sucker for this kind of beautiful vintage pinky colours, but it's like a seersucker or maybe a plissé, and it's a vintage fabric, and that will be lovely. I love that in needle books, but it'd also be lovely even with that kind of slight stretch. I included some of that in my Gosling quilt, so might put some kits together for the Gosling quilt with vintage textiles. In fact, I've had lots of requests for that, and 2 other bits of vintage fabric. 80 centimeters, $8. Good, that's a really good price. That's for the color, obviously, for me. I love a low volume vintage piece. What else did I get? Oh, I got a tin at the sewing box. Just thought it was cute to put. And this one I'll probably include with vintage bits and pieces. It just needs a little bit of a clean up there. And I think that was $10, which is about the price, a good price for a tin, like a nice tin in Australia now. I'm happy to pay, like you just saw me pay $30 for one that I'd never seen before. But when I'm picking them up to include in other things, like I'll pay up to, I don't know, $20 for a good one. When I put those into the kits, they're not making much profit. They're just to contain it and to bring somebody a lot of joy. What else did I get? Oh, last thing in my bag is a set of some embroidered, like a center and 2 side pieces. They were $8. That's quite a good price. They're quite sweet. You can see the back of that one, but the stitching is quite lovely. It's got some marks on there, but I think might soak out. So they'll go into my soaking pile. So that's where I'm at. Oh, and actually while I'm here, I'm going to show you. No, actually I'm going to do that in another video. Happy stitching, everybody. Hope that, one, I've encouraged you, if it feels like you don't know where to go with your stitching, put it to the side. You can come back to it. Something will happen over time and you'll work out what you want to do. And 2, to look for vintage stuff because it's super fun. Happy stitching.